Have you ever woken up in the dead of night, unable to move, feeling an ominous presence in your room? A question that might seem straight out of a horror movie, but for some, it's a terrifying reality. Welcome to the eerie world of sleep paralysis, a phenomenon that transforms the tranquility of sleep into a chilling nightmare. Sleep paralysis, in simple terms, is a state of being conscious, yet unable to move or speak. It happens when you're either falling asleep or waking up. Your mind is awake, but your body is not. It's like being stuck in a liminal space between sleep and wakefulness, a twilight zone where reality and the dream world collide. This condition is often accompanied by a profound feeling of dread. Imagine this. You're lying in your bed, fully aware of your surroundings, but you can't move a muscle. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Your breaths are coming out in short, shallow gasps, and all you can do is wait, trapped in your own body. Hallucinations are another common symptom of sleep paralysis. Sufferers often report seeing shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their room, or feeling an unknown entity sitting on their chest. The feeling is so real, so vivid, that it's almost impossible to convince yourself that it's just a figment of your imagination. These hallucinations are not just visual. Some people also report hearing strange noises, like whispers in their ear, footsteps, or even a low growl. Others report feeling a pressure on their chest, as if someone or something is trying to suffocate them. These experiences can be so intense and terrifying that they leave a lasting impact, turning the safety of one's bed into a place of fear. Sleep paralysis is not just a medical phenomenon. It's a brush with the unseen horror, a chilling encounter with the unknown. It's a reminder of how thin the line is between our waking world and the realm of nightmares. Imagine being trapped in your own body while experiencing your worst nightmare. A horrifying thought, isn't it? But for those who have experienced sleep paralysis, it's a terrifying reality. Now let's delve into the chilling story of John, a man who regularly encountered an old hag during his sleep paralysis episodes. John had always been a sound sleeper until his late 20s, when he first experienced sleep paralysis. Imagine being trapped in a state between sleep and wakefulness, unable to move or speak, and worst of all, feeling an ominous presence in the room. That was John's reality, night after night. His encounters with the old hag were particularly terrifying. He described her as a withered, ghostly figure with a malicious grin, who would sit on his chest, making it hard for him to breathe. The old hag was relentless, appearing in John's nightmares time and again, her haunting visage etched permanently into his mind. This phenomenon that John experienced is known as the old hag syndrome. It's a common hallucination experienced by people suffering from sleep paralysis. The name is derived from an ancient belief that a witch or an old hag sits on the chest of the victims, rendering them immobile. Scientifically, this is a result of a discordance in brain functions during the transition between sleep stages. The mind wakes up, but the body, still under the influence of a chemical that inhibits movement during sleep, remains paralyzed, leading to the terrifying sensation of being trapped. The hallucinations, like the old hag, are thought to be the brain's attempt to make sense of this incongruity. The brain, in its semi-conscious state, generates these horrifying figures, often drawing from cultural or personal fears, and projects them into our perceived reality. John's story is not unique. Countless people around the world share similar experiences, their nights marred by these terrifying encounters. Sleep, which is meant to be a refuge from the worries of the day, becomes a battleground, a stage for the most primal of our fears to come alive. John's terrifying encounters left him dreading sleep, the one place where he was supposed to find peace. Think the old hag is horrifying. Wait until you hear about the Shadow Man. Meet Sarah. For years she found herself trapped in the icy grip of sleep paralysis. During these episodes, a sinister figure would often creep into her awareness. A tall, shadowy figure, standing ominously at the foot of her bed, watching, waiting. Sarah named him the Shadow Man. Sarah is not alone in her encounters with the Shadow Man. Across the world, countless individuals have reported chillingly similar experiences during sleep paralysis episodes. A dark, faceless entity, often described as a man, lingering in the periphery of one's vision, silent, yet undeniably menacing. But what is the Shadow Man? Is he a figment of our imagination, a product of our deepest, darkest fears? Or is he something more, something beyond our understanding? Sleep researchers suggest that the Shadow Man phenomenon is a common hallucination associated with sleep paralysis. Our brains, they say, are simply trying to make sense of the terrifying experience of being awake, yet unable to move. In the hazy boundary between sleep and wakefulness, our minds conjure up the Shadow Man, a tangible representation of our fear and anxiety. Yet this explanation provides little comfort to those who have come face to face with the Shadow Man. For them, the terror is all too real. The cold dread that washes over them as the Shadow Man looms in their peripheral vision. The sense of impending doom as they lie helpless, unable to escape his silent vigil. Sarah's experiences with the Shadow Man have left her with more questions than answers. Is he simply a creation of her sleep-addled mind? Or does he represent something deeper, something inherent in the human psyche? Sarah's story serves as a chilling reminder that our minds can sometimes be our worst enemies. The Shadow Man, whether real or imagined, is a testament to the power of our fears and the terrifying forms they can take when we are at our most vulnerable. Sleep paralysis is undoubtedly terrifying, but it's not the only nightmarish phenomenon people experience. Let's delve into the shadowy realms of other horrifying nocturnal experiences. Night terrors, exploding head syndrome, and hypnagogic hallucinations are just a few examples of the eerie happenings that could invade your slumber. Night terrors, unlike regular nightmares, are episodes of intense fear that occur during the deepest phase of non-REM sleep. Imagine, if you will, a woman named Sarah. She's in the throes of a night terror, bolting upright with a blood-curdling scream, eyes wide open but seeing something invisible to everyone else. She's trapped in a state of terror, her heart racing, drenched in cold sweat. Yet, when she awakens in the morning, she has no recollection of the event. Next on our list is the bizarrely named exploding head syndrome. Picture Tom, a middle-aged man jolting awake in the dead of night to a loud bang, as if a gunshot or a crashing cymbal has sounded inside his head. But there's no intruder, no broken glass. The noise is entirely a creation of his own mind. It's a harmless yet understandably frightening experience that can disrupt a peaceful night's sleep. Lastly, let's explore hypnagogic hallucinations. These are vivid, often unsettling sensory experiences that occur in the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Consider Lucy, a college student. As she drifts off to sleep, she hears her name whispered, or sees a shadowy figure lurking in her room. But when she fully awakens, the voice fades and the figure disappears. These hallucinations, while harmless, can be incredibly disconcerting. These phenomena underline the fact that sometimes our own minds can turn against us in the most horrifying ways. From the paralyzing fear of sleep paralysis to the sheer terror of night terrors, it's clear that our minds can create horrifying experiences. As we've journeyed through the eerie landscape of sleep-induced phenomena, we've encountered some truly spine-chilling tales. We've looked into the unseen horror of sleep paralysis, a condition that holds its victims captive within their own bodies, trapped in a terrifying twilight zone between wakefulness and sleep. We've delved into the chilling lore of the old hag syndrome, where sufferers wake up, unable to move, with the horrifying sensation of an ominous entity pressing down upon their chest. Who could forget John's harrowing encounters with this old hag? Night after night he would wake up frozen in fear as the sinister spectre loomed over him, a nightmare that became all too real. Our exploration took a darker turn with the Shadow Man, a menacing figure often seen during episodes of sleep paralysis. Sarah's encounters with this mysterious entity were particularly unsettling. She would wake up paralyzed only to find the Shadow Man standing in the corner of her room watching her, his presence a tangible embodiment of her darkest fears. We also touched upon other terrifying phenomena that lurk in the shadows of our sleep, phenomena that transform the sanctuary of slumber into a stage for our deepest anxieties and fears to play out. A chilling reminder that our minds are capable of conjuring horrors that rival even the most terrifying of horror films. It's clear that while we may fear the monsters under our bed or the ghosts in our closet, the real monsters often reside within our own minds. They are the product of our fears, anxieties, and the uncharted depths of our subconscious, coming alive in the dead of night, turning our dreams into nightmares. As we bid you good night, remember sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones that live in our minds.